He almost died because of weak legs. This isn't an exaggeration. His name is George. He's 78 years old, independent and proud. But one day he fell and he couldn't get up. He was on the floor for 9 hours alone. But today, George is thriving. He's walking over a mile a day, playing with his grandkids, and says he feels younger than he did at age 70. So how did we do it? How did we take George from nearly losing his life to reclaiming it? Today, I'll walk you through his story, the exercises we used, and how you can do the same thing to improve your leg strength before it's too late. This all started when George came to us after what he called the worst night of his life. He was getting out of bed late at night to use the bathroom. His legs buckled and he hit the floor. And he laid there in pain, unable to move, until the next morning. Thankfully, a neighbor noticed his paper hadn't been picked up and checked in. It turns out his leg strength had been declining for years, subtly, silently. He said, "I just thought it was part of getting old." But it wasn't. It was a lack of leg strength, coordination, and stability, and it nearly cost him his life. After the hospital cleared him, George came to us at Total Therapy Florida. We knew we couldn't just jump into hard exercises. His legs had essentially checked out for months. So we started slow, safe, and simple. For phase 1, the first 2 weeks of exercises, we focused on muscle activation and stability. We started off simple with seated long arc quads, or just a fancy name for leg kicks. We wanted to get George's quadricep muscles firing because they weren't just weak, they were uncoordinated. Kicking out, focusing on that really good contraction of your quadricep muscle, holding it for a second, and then letting it go nice and smooth. Started off with no weight at all, and then over the course of a couple weeks, we added 1 pound, then 2 pound, and then eventually 3 pound ankle weights, working our way up to 3 sets of 10. We also started off with a basic stability exercise, standing weight shifts. The goal was to get George used to putting his body weight through his legs. We started off simple with small weight shifts and eventually worked our way up to shifting almost 100% of his body weight from one leg to the other. We really challenged him here. When he got to that very edge of his stability, he kept trying to reach out and touch, and we kind of tried to keep him right on that verge. We didn't really keep count on these. We just told him to let us know when he needed a break and wrote down his time. Over the course of a few weeks, George was eventually able to do these at home consistently without using his hands for support and working his way up to about 5 minutes a day. George did these exercises twice per day, once with us and once at home in an area in his kitchen where he had a countertop on either side of him for safety. These weren't glamorous, but they were essential. We were building his foundation, and you can start doing these at home today and start building yours. By the end of phase 1, or around week 2, George was able to move from his walker full-time to using a cane for short distances, 30 feet in the clinic to walking in the parking lot, and eventually up and down his driveway at home. Next up, we started phase 2. Phase 2 focused on strengthening. The first exercise was heel raises. This helped George build strength in his calf muscles, which he needed to begin walking in with proper technique. So we told him to go up and down on his toes as high as he can go. If he needed to hold on for support, that's great to get all the way up to the top, and then lower it down nice and smooth. Once that became easy and he was able to rip out 15 or 20 reps, we started asking him to transition towards one leg. And the way that we did that was going up on 2, shifting his weight over towards one side, and then lowering down on just one foot. We built up to 10 on each side until eventually we could have him go up and down on one foot. Right after we finished heel raises, we started working on gait training, teaching him the fundamentals of ankle dorsiflexion, having a good heel strike, and the importance of good rhythm and tempo with his walking. You can work on this at home too. You just need to dedicate a space in your home where you can focus on walking with purpose, exaggerating your walking. The last exercise in phase 2 were sit to stands from a chair. This is one of our go-to exercises because it hits all the important muscles in your legs and it can be easily modified to fit your individual needs. For example, George started doing sets of 5 using an extra cushion or pillow underneath to raise his seat height up, making things easier. After a couple weeks, he was able to remove the cushion and worked his way up to sets of 10. eventually without using his hands to help at all. And you can bet that this exercise is part of George's daily routine today. It's what keeps him strong and able to stay active. At this point, George was now walking without a walker or a cane, at least at home. We told him to bring his cane if he was out in public where he was worried about people bumping into him or if he was walking on uneven ground. By the way, if you're finding George's story helpful, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We post videos weekly to help older adults stay strong, active, and confident in their bodies. Finally, around week 6, we started phase 3, which continued his strengthening progression, but also began to incorporate single leg functional exercises. We started with step-ups. With an adjustable step and starting off at 6 inches tall, we told George to step up with confidence and down with control, only using his hands if needed, but not more than what was absolutely necessary. Each week, we bumped the height of the step up 2 inches until he was able to do a 10-inch step for 3 sets of 10 with no hands. Next up, we added split squats. A split squat is basically a lunge where you stay in the same place instead of walk. It also puts more stress on a single leg and begins to really challenge your balance. We made sure to start off George easy here with just sets of 5 to make sure he wasn't going to be too sore. And we also made him set himself up on a place where if he did get down too low and didn't feel comfortable getting up, he could help push himself up with his hands. After a week or so, we started working our way up to 2 sets of 10 on both legs. The last exercise we did with George was sidestepping with a band. This exercise helped build his hip abductor strength and fine-tune his balance and his lateral stability. He started off with a light band, working his way up to a medium band. We had him do 20 feet or so back and forth in the clinic, 3 sets every day. When he was doing them at home, he did them in front of his countertop in his kitchen so that he always had something to hold on to. About week 8, George no longer needed to come into the clinic for his physical therapy. He graduated. What we did was we sent him home with a home exercise program containing the key exercises that we just talked about and told him to do them 3 times per week. And just trying to stay more active overall in general. If he had the chance to take the stairs instead of the elevator, things like that. George's story is powerful because it's relatable. Leg weakness doesn't always scream at you. Sometimes it whispers until one day it knocks you down. Don't wait for that day. Start now. Even if you can only do a few reps, that's your starting line. Need help? That's what we're here for. We believe every adult at any age deserves to move with strength and confidence. If you're feeling confident and you want to really build your leg strength, we have another great video on our channel about how to start squatting for seniors. I'll see you there.